couples fight, it's rarely about the dishes or the laundry or whose turn it is to take the bins out. In most relationships, those moments are just the starting point for something much more emotional underneath. And if you've ever found yourself thinking, why are we still having the same argument? This may be why. Hello, I'm Dan. I'm a clinical psychologist and the director of Lavender Psychology, an LGBTQIA+ affirming and neuroaffirming practice here in Sydney CBD. So let's slow it down for a second. One person asks, hey, can you help me more with the dishes? On the surface, that's simple, practical, reasonable. But some of the time, there's something more underneath that moment. It might be, I've been feeling a bit alone lately. Or, I'm carrying a lot and I don't feel supported. Or even, I'm not sure I really matter to you right now. And that part, that more vulnerable part, doesn't always come out clearly. So instead, it comes out as frustration, or irritation, or a complaint. This is usually the exact moment couples get stuck, because the other partner doesn't just hear the words, they hear it through their own emotional lens. So instead of hearing, I feel alone, it might land as, I'm being criticized, or I'm getting this wrong, or I'm not good enough here. And most couples don't notice that shift when it happens. It's really subtle. It just feels like the conversation suddenly changed tone or started to feel tense. And that shift often happens really quickly. So what do people do when something lands like that? They protect themselves. Sometimes that looks like defensiveness. Sometimes it's explaining. Sometimes it's shutting down or going quiet. Sometimes it's getting frustrated and pushing back. And from the outside, those reactions can look quite different. But underneath them, they're doing a very similar job. They're trying to protect something more vulnerable. It's, I don't want to feel like I'm failing here. Or, I don't want to feel like I'm not enough for you. And this is where things get really tricky, because now you have a gap. One person is thinking, that's not what I meant at all. But the other person is responding to how it felt, not what was intended. And that can get really frustrating, because you can genuinely have good intentions and still find yourself in a moment that feels quite painful for both people. That's the difference between intent and impact. And in relationships, impact tends to shape the moment much more than intention does. Not because intention doesn't matter, but because emotional reactions happen faster than explanation. So from the first person's side, they tried to reach out and it didn't land. So they come back a bit stronger, more urgent, more frustrated, maybe more critical. Not because they're trying to escalate things, but because they're trying to be felt. They're trying to say, no, this really matters. But now the second person feels more criticized, more overwhelmed, or more like they're getting it wrong. So they protect harder, they shut down more, or argue back more, or pull away. And just like that, you're in a loop. Same feeling, same pattern, just a different version of the same argument. And this is part of why these arguments can feel so repetitive, because the same pattern keeps getting activated. So what looks like an argument about dishes is often much deeper than that. One person is really asking, do I matter to you? And the other person is trying to manage the feeling of, I'm not sure I'm getting this right. Both of these experiences make sense. Both are protective. Both are very human. But neither of them are fully visible in the moment. So you end up responding to each other's reactions instead of responding to what's actually underneath. Sometimes there's a really specific moment in these conversations where things stop being about the situation and start becoming about what it means. That's usually where the pattern begins, because it's rarely about the dishes or the laundry or whose turn it is to take the bins out. It's usually about something much more human underneath that. If any of this resonates, you're welcome to reach out.